Okay, let's get straight into this. We're going to start by mobilizing the hips, lifting a leg, squeezing through the thigh, squeezing the glute. We're just going to hold it here, flexed foot, engaging and lifting as high as possible. And then we lift and lower 8 times, driving up and down through that heel. Again, lifting from the glute and from the lower part of the back. Same thing out to the side. Once you've done that, squeezing with a knee bent, pushing nice and high through that knee until you feel the glute activating, and then lift and lower 8 times. Keep the foot flexed, drive it as high as possible. You should really start to feel this. Then we're going to take it to all the way in towards the chest, that bent knee, drive up and back, and make sure at the end of that, so as you kick high, you're keeping the knee really, really engaged, the leg nice and straight. It's easy to let it bend. And then we swap to the other side, exactly the same thing. So lift and hold, squeeze through the glutes, see if you can take it a little bit higher than before, push out through the heel, and then we lift and lower, same as before, driving up through the heel. 8 of these, more or less. Obviously you can do more of any of these if you want to. Out to the side, driving up through the knee. Let's hold it here, squeezing up. I'm basically just counting to 8 in my head for all of these. We're not holding super long. And then lift and lower with that knee 8 times. Beautiful. Right, in towards the belly to finish off, driving up and back through the heel, squeeze that thigh. 8 of these again. Really make sure at the top that you're fully engaging through the glutes. So we want to feel quite a lot through the hips as you do this. Really waking everything up and mobilizing. Back into a downward dog, little walk out through the legs, tipping from shoulder to shoulder. Nice and comfortable. And then we're going to step to the front of the mat and we're going to keep targeting the glutes and the lower back a little bit. We're going to take the right leg back to begin with. Drive that leg up and down with as much control as you can, keeping the standing leg bent in towards the tummy. 5 of these. And then we're going to hold at the top. Good. Counting for about 4. And then see if you can start to balance. Here I have my standing leg bent. On the other side I straighten it out. It doesn't matter. Fingertips hovering underneath the shoulders to finish here. Lift and lower 4 times. Squeezing the thigh and the lower glute. You will really start to feel this if you're doing it properly. Obviously, like I said, if you want to feel more of this, you could double the counts. Same to the other side. Leg back. Lift and lower 4 times. Yep, squeezing the glute, trying to find that line, shoulder, hip to toe if you can, and then holding at the top, squeezing into that position. Float and hover. Yeah, here you can see I straighten out my leg, whichever feels better. And then fingertips under the shoulders, bend and extend 4 times. Nice. And yeah, this I really like this for stabilizing through the hips and the glute. I find it super helpful. Okay, taking it back, we're gonna take the right leg to begin with. Yep, up toward the ceiling, lift and lower, squeeze at the top. So this is quite a dynamic movement up, quite controlled on the way down. We're going to hold it at the top, bend that knee to open out through the hip, and then we're going to extend and bend that leg 4 times, reaching out through the toe, squeeze that thigh, brilliant, and then bring it all the way back, knee in towards the belly. 4 of these, extend, bend in, yep. And on the last one, you're going to pull it in towards the tummy, hold it here, and we're going to place the knee just behind the right wrist and settle into a pigeon with the heel pulled close into that hip. You're going to press through the top of the back foot, lift the hips away from the floor. You should feel your glute and that back thigh engaging. And then we're going to move the fingertips up towards the temples when you're ready. And we're going to start to lower forward over that front leg without letting the hips drop. And this is really focused on that right glute, ideally. 4 of these. And then the last one, we lower and hold. Are we going to do that? Yeah, we are. Lengthening through the lower back. If you want to, you can extend your arms out in front and really keep the hips off the floor. It's kind of easy to collapse down into this position. Right, take it up and back. Good. And let's bring it down to the other side. Same thing here. Left leg up and down. I think I'm doing 4 of these. You could double it again. Squeezing through the glute, taking that foot nice and high. Holding on the last one when we get there. We're doing more. Great. Yep. And then we bend the leg, open and arch, and then same on the other side, switching on that thigh as you extend, switching on the glute and the hamstring as you bend. So you're just opening up the hips a little bit more. Good. Last time, obviously, we're going to extend, and then same thing as before, knee comes in towards the belly. 4 of these, compress, extend, compress, extend, twice more, putting a little bit tighter in towards the belly each time. Last time we hover, looking down between the fingertips, place that knee just behind the left wrist this time, heel quite close to the hip, same as on the other side, pressing through the top of the back foot to find that lift. Hold it here, driving up, fingertips up to your temples when you are ready. And let's start to lower forward over that thigh, nice and controlled along through the lower back. 4 of these. Lowering down. Think about moving your belly towards your calf as you drop down. If you open towards your knee too much, it's going to get too easy. Holding here. Extend through the lower spine. If you want to take the fingertips forward, you can. Again, same as on the other side. And then to finish, hands down, tuck that back toe, and let's drive it up and back. Brilliant. Okay, we're going to work on the upper body a little bit here. So looking forward between the thumbs. This one's a little bit tricky if you've not done it before. You want to keep the elbows close, dip the forearms and the elbows low, and try and stack your shoulders above your elbows as you come down. 8 of these, and then we're going to hover at the bottom, really switch on the triceps and hold it here. If you want to make it a little bit harder, you want to think about reaching your shoulders toward the wrists. Now, forearms down, shifting forward and back. This is quite intense on the tops of the shoulders. The glutes and the hips need to stay high, rolling back and forward. So extending back, tipping forward. And I think, do we hold this on the last one? Let's find out. This is exciting. Yeah, rolling through the toe, switch on those shoulders, hold it there for a second. That's fine. Yeah, if you want to hold that longer, you'll really feel it building up. This is a nice one. Coming onto all fours, we're going to float 1 point of contact off the floor at a time. So your knees want to be completely lifted, the tops of the thighs engaged. And I'm just cycling around twice. So I'm starting with my right hand here, taking my left hand off the floor, left foot, right foot, and then I'm reversing it. Same thing. So left hand now, right hand lifts, keeping those knees just above the floor. Good. Cycling all the way around, finishing with the left foot, and 1 more time. And you want to try and keep your lower back slightly rounded up, the tailbone slightly tucked, and the belly drawn really nice and close in toward the spine. It's quite a good stability one. Now from here we shift forward and back. So from that all 4 position, knees hovered into a plank, switching on the tops of the shoulders. Just 4 of those, finding that solid line through the body. And then we're going to shrug up and down. So let the shoulder blades drift apart as you push up, and then close together as you dip down. Really nice stabilizing and supporting exercise. And to finish off in this position, we're going to shift forward and back over those wrists, engaging again the tops of the shoulders, rolling from the tips of the toes into the heels. Good. If you wanted to, you could hold at the end here, really switch on the fronts of the hands and just stabilize there for a moment. Great. Take a second. Oh, great, we're getting a block. I didn't realize that was happening. I was just watching myself, wondering what was going on. Right, we're going on to core here. So this one, you don't have to use a block for this one. You can pinch your elbow directly into your knee or use something else. I'm using a block. Other arm bent and leg bent in the same position. We're going to extend and pull it back in, keeping the lower back driving down into the floor. Even just this is quite an intense one. And you really want to focus on squeezing into that block or support so the front of your core starts to switch on. Last time we're going to extend and hold, hovering the heel, the ankle, the wrist just above the mat, driving down through the lower spine, pinching into the block as hard as you can, and then up. And we take it to the other side, exactly the same thing here. Pinching in, extend, 8 of these, nice and long through the body, pushing down through the lower spine. This is definitely one of my favorites. It's really, really nice, just for tying sort of the movement into your body. Last one, we extend, hold it there. Good, kicking out through the heel, reaching out through the fingertips, same as before, really driving into the block to find the tension through the front of your body. And then we're going to come off. Block lengthways between the knees, feet stay flexed, hands to your lower back just to make sure you're not lifting off the floor. And we're going to lower and lift the heels, hovering them just above the mat as they come down. This is quite an intense one as well. It doesn't look like very much, but if you do it properly, you'll feel it. Make sure you're still pinching inward between the thighs. So your inner thighs are engaged. You're pressing nice and hard into that block. On the last one, we're going to hover, heels just, not yet, heels just above the mat. You're going to lower, drive down through the lower spine and hold it there for 8 or however long feels good for you. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze down through the lower core And then last one here, I'm going to take the block between my palms, extend the arms overhead, chin in toward my chest, feet stay flat, lower back stays down, and I'm going to peel the upper body up away from the floor and down 8 times, really dropping down through the lower spine. You can see here that I'm keeping the block really lifted up above my head. Make sure you're not reaching it forward towards your knees as you come up. You want to keep it way, way back. And then same here. As you come to the last one, we're going to dip down through the lower spine and hold it here, extending through the fingertips, pushing down through the soles of the feet, and really, really switching on the core. Good. Take a second. Okay, moving on. Still with the core, working on some compression, fingertips down by your knees. Let's take the left leg up and down 8 times, squeezing the thigh, squeezing the hip flexor. Think about bringing the top of the leg in towards your belly. And then on the last one we hold, kick out through the heel, reach up and in through the toes, squeeze a bit higher, and bring it down. Same to the other side. 8 of these, driving up and down, pushing out through that heel. Good. If you can, see if you can keep your chest and your breastbone lifted. I'm rounding slightly through my lower spine here. It's okay to do that a little bit, but as little as possible. Right, same with both legs straight, fingertips just past your knees, compressing the thighs in towards your belly. Lift and lower 8 times. If you can, hovering the heels off the floor in between. It makes it a little bit more intense. It's quite a nice one, this one. And obviously on the last one we're going to compress and we're going to hold, squeezing nice and close with the thighs, lengthening out into the tips of the toes. Great. And lowering down. Slight variation of this, basically a similar concept. We're going to bring the hands mid-thighs and we're just going to think about rolling the hips up and off the floor, keeping the heels down and compressing the chest in towards your knees and your thighs. If you feel super strong in this position, you could think about floating the heels off the floor as well, coming into a full pike sit. But this I find just as challenging, if not slightly more challenging, because you can kind of deepen the compression a little bit. It's a nice one. Have a little try. Good. And then obviously a hold, driving down into the fingertips, extending through the arms. And when you're ready, bring it down. Take a second. Finishing on our straddle here, I think this is the last one. We're going to do that same lift and lower, rotating back through the toe, switching on the inner thigh. We're going to kick up and down through one leg 8 times. If you want to make this harder, you can work your fingertips closer towards your ankle and your heel. If you want to make it easier, lean back and away from the leg and bring your feet closer together if you're feeling a cramp. Holding at the top, kick nice and high through that heel, flex back through the toe. And then same to the other side, 8 lift and lower, squeezing out through the thigh. Rolling that toe back. Brilliant. And same thing here, holding at the top. When you're ready, pulling back through the toe. Make sure it's rotated back toward the wall behind you. Squeeze and bring it down. Oh no, there is one more. Fingertips to your temples, pressing down through the backs of the legs. We're going to do our little deadlifts here. So we're coming up and down. We're going to go for 8 of these. It's sort of a controlled lower and quite a quick dynamic lift. You can see I'm pressing down through the heels and the backs of my legs. We're doing 8 of these. For the last one, same as before, we're going to lower and hold. I think I demo this side on just so you can see my lower back staying nice and flat as well. We want to try and avoid collapsing back through the lower back. Yeah, I find it really helpful for this hold to reach forward because you can think about lengthening. If it feels like too much though, grab hold of opposite elbows and you can still think about that same space through your lower back. Ta-da! Right, moving on to the legs a little bit. Left foot flexes. We're going to drive up thigh toward the belly 8 times. Really strong kick out through the heel, reaching back through the toes. And then squeezing the knees straight still. We're going to compress the leg in towards the tummy and hold it here, adding a bit of a pulse to 4, 3, good, 2, and then pull it in. Looking towards that shin, you're going to pull it closer and closer, and then release it down. Same to the other side. 8 of these little kicks up and down. Nice and quick, nice and dynamic on the way up, and relatively controlled on the way down. Don't let that knee start to bend if possible. And then pulling it in, squeezing with your little pulse back and forward. Good, 4 times. And then exactly the same thing here. We pull it close, compress that thigh in toward the tummy, and bring it down. Lovely. Okay, grabbing your block, we're going to do one last little compression exercise here. Arms extended up overhead. You want to think about keeping your lower back nice and flat, reaching past the toes and then driving back up. So this is a similar deadlift feeling to that straddle press. Up and down. Good. Pushing down through the backs of the legs. I feel this really solidly in the base of my glute, the top of my hamstring. And then we hold, extending out through the heels, reaching through the fingertips. Like I said before, this is just examples of things you can try. If you want to do more of these, that's completely fine. Moving on to our hip flexors. We're going to bring the foot slightly past the line of the knee, so you've got loads of space to lunge into. Same hand as leg comes to the front knee, other hand comes to the base of the glute. And we're going to think about moving up and down 4 times, lifting through the chest, pressing through that front hand, and then driving down and forward through the back hand. So we're letting the hips settle lower and lower in towards the mat. We're going to hold at the bottom, driving a little bit deeper, switching on the glutes to press through. And then if you want to, you can think about bending that back leg, pulling the heel in toward the back of the head, keeping the body in that low lunge position, and it's really going to intensify those feelings. Hands come to the inside of the front foot, top of the back foot rests down into the mat. We're going to squeeze the leg straight and then lift and lower, engaging through the thigh, the top of the hip flexor. Chest stays lifted, and then the last one we lift and hold, drive out through that toe. Think about cycling through the upper body. So chest up as you inhale, hips down as you exhale. Chest up, hips down, really deepening that stretch. And then we're going to hold it there and try and make sure that that back knee doesn't start to collapse down. It's really easy to kind of let it go. Right, last one here, we bring ourselves up, make a little bit more space with that front leg, arms shoulder height, looking toward the fingertips. And let's reach back, dip down through the hips and come back up, driving through that front leg. 4 times here, gradually softening lower and lower. So we're still stabilizing through the hips, but you want to let the weight of your upper body settle quite low into the lower body. Last time, settle and hold, grabbing hold of opposite elbows. If you want to, you can finish by bending the back leg. I think I do it on this side, but I forgot to do it on the other side. No, I don't do it on this side. So don't do that if you don't want to. Right, we're going to bring ourselves up into a lifted lunge, little pulse up and down to 8 here, squeezing through that front thigh. Try and keep the back leg extended if possible. And then you're going to soften the hips down into that line, heel to front knee. And we're going to bring the arms overhead, lower the belly down towards the front thigh 4 times. Nice and low, squeezing that thigh, reaching forward through the fingertips. Good. And then the last one we lower and hold, barely just above the thigh, pressing through that front foot, extending into the tips of the fingers. And fingertips come down, we step it back. Same to the other side. Coming into your stacked lunge position, shoulders, hips, knee, and then dip down. Same hand as front leg to the top of that knee, other hand to the base of the glutes. And we move through our little lift and lower, chest up, press down, working the top of the thigh deeper and deeper in towards the floor. Good. And then same as on the other side, we're going to hold it here at the bottom, switching on the glute to tuck down and through. And if you do want to finish activating, you can switch on the hamstring, pull the heel a little bit closer, and just stop there. Good, moving on to that next one, hands to the inside of the front foot, top of the back foot down, we squeeze that knee straight, and then we lift and lower, engaging through the top of the thigh. Good, it's quite a dynamic push up, so you want to feel that engagement. Last one we hold at the top, squeezing out into the tip of the toe, think about lifting the chest, settling down through the hip. Lift the chest, settle down through the hip. And as you drop, I'm slightly bending through that knee here, you want to really keep it as extended as possible, reaching into the tip of the toe. And yeah, I feel it right in the top of the hip flexor there, and then the top of that back thigh. Brilliant. And bring the knee down. Coming onto that little reach back, fingertips shoulder height, reaching back, tipping down. 4 of these, low, and lift. Good. And same as before, reaching back, extending through those fingertips, grabbing opposite elbows if you want to, stacking over the hip so you're driving down and forward into that hip flexor. Good. And then, no, I don't do it here either. We're not bending that back leg. Hands to the inside of the foot. Lift yourself up into the lifted lunge. Hands on your hips. Coming to a little pulse. Up and down. Squeezing that thigh. Pushing back through the back heel. Good. 8 of these. Dipping nice and low. Or as many as you want to. You could do 200 if you like. Arms up, shoulder height. Dipping forward. Belly down towards your thigh. Press up and down. Good. Yeah, really squeezing through that front thigh. So we're trying to drop the upper body as low as possible and then hold, extend, see if you can come a little bit lower, heel, hip and shoulders in line, and then hands down. Let's take it back, little downward dog. Good, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, that might be it. Bring the knees down. Yeah, that's it. Well done. That's just a little conditioning thing for you to try. Hope you enjoy.